We're the good guys. Trust us. We're not committing genocide. We're the good guys. That's what we've been hearing throughout this entire war on the Palestinian people in Gaza. But let me just share with you a few videos. I want to start off with this tweet. This is from Alon Lee Green. He is an activist, an Israeli activist, leading the charge on a lot of the protests that we're seeing happening in Israel. And he says this: "Do you see it? Settlers backed by the police are today stopping aid trucks to Gaza on the way to the border, blocking them and tearing up the bags of flour and food. This is not what security or patriotism looks like. This is what pure hatred for humans looks like. This is what love of war and bereavement looks like. We all lose from this reality in which only the extremists gain." Watch this. So this is the Israeli, these guys are at the border destroying food trucks that are going into Gaza, that are supposed to be heading into Gaza. Look at that. Just throwing the food, not caring. I mean, wanting people to starve with no problems at all, wanting people to starve. Now you could see, they're just showing that there's members of the IDF that are just standing by, involved. Let me show you a better image of, you could see clearly an IDF soldier just standing by. Let's see if we can show you this. You can see it right there in the background. Could you see that guy? Let's see if I can show you full screen. Let me kind of back it up for you. See that guy back there? Let me see if I'm trying to catch it for you. There he is. See that guy in the full green in the back? He's got a gun. Just watching. No big deal. Just watching. Yeah, I mean, so we see these extremists, they're stopping. This is not the only time this has happened. These reports have been going on for months now, that these extremists have been at the border preventing aid from getting into Israel. This has been going on, hardly ever reported, if at all. What is Israel doing about it? It's unclear, right? It doesn't seem to be, they don't seem to be doing much about it because it continues to happen over and over again. Let me move on to the next clip, because we do have our guests that we're going to be getting to later on here in the show, but I want to just get through some of these clips. So here is Dr. Phil. This is Netanyahu. Dr. Phil went and did an hour-long interview with Netanyahu, big supporter of Israel, big Zionist. Anyway, Netanyahu tells Dr. Phil that pretty much all Palestinians are complicit, so there's no innocent Palestinians. This is a belief that we've heard, the genocidal rhetoric that we've heard over and over and over again. And he's saying that that Palestinians even study Hitler. Listen to this. When he said, I mean, this
war is between Israel, the Jewish homeland, and Hamas, a terrorist group that has taken over the territory known as the Gaza Strip, which Israel gave up in a goodwill effort for peace in 2005. Occupied by Palestinians, many of whom willingly harbor the terrorists or are at least sympathizers. Are the Palestinian people at large complicit in this? How do you tell the difference between Hamas and Palestinians in the Gaza Strip? Because Hamas doesn't wear a uniform. They hide among the civilians. They hide in schools. They hide in churches. They wear civilian clothes, which is a violation of the Geneva Convention. Are Palestinians complicit in this, or are they just hiding among them? I know they're doing that, but are Palestinians, some, complicit in this?
You have actually both conditions, because we went into buildings, residential buildings, where these terrorists, hide, and where they shoot from. They go to hospitals, schools, residential areas. But when we went into these residential areas, we found tablets, and in the tablet you have, you open the tablet and you see a picture of Adolf Hitler. And then in another building you see a picture, in another apartment you see text of Hitler's Mein Kampf, which is the work that itemized and laid the plan for the destruction of the 6 million Jews in the Holocaust.
Oh, okay. So that's why we have to genocide them before they genocide us. You see that they're genocidal. They study Hitler. They study the Mein Kampf. That's what they do. So they're all complicit. I mean, that's what Dr. Phil asserted at the beginning of this segment, and that's what Netanyahu continues to. That's what he basically verifies by saying, yeah, they're studying Hitler. So what can we expect? You know, anybody with eyes, I mean, you don't even have to know anything about this conflict at all. You just have to have a set of eyes and see that the Israelis, whenever you see images of the Israelis, whenever you see images of Israel, you see this beautiful, clean country that's wealthy, clearly people living a good life. And yet that side is being told, they're trying to sell us on this idea that they're oppressed, that they're surrounded by hate, that people want to eradicate them. And then meanwhile, they show us images of the Palestinians where they're in complete squalor. Their buildings have been blown up. Their children are being blown up. They're begging for food, and we're told that they're the oppressors. They're the aggressive oppressors that are hurting these poor people on the other side of the wall that just want to live in peace, and they can't, even though they're always clean and rich and well-fed, and they have gardens and green grass and swimming pools. And meanwhile, the Palestinian people are being bombed and buried under rubble. They're holding their dead children. But okay, which one's the victim and which? So we're being told that it wasn't. Don't believe your lying eyes. You see, when the Holocaust happened, yes, you saw the Germans, and they were the clean ones that were wealthy, and they had the guns, and they had the power, and they had the big weapons. But don't believe your eyes, said the Nazis. The Jews, the ones that we've locked up in these concentration camps, in these ghettos, the ones that are starving to death, that are skinny as can be, that are dying of ailments, they're the oppressors. Don't you understand? We're doing this for our own, we have to, for our own safety. We must lock up all of these scrawny little underfed Jews in these concentration camps and ghettos, because otherwise they control us. You see how stupid that sounds? Oh, really? Look, so the guys that are locked up in the ghetto and the concentration camps, those are the ones who are actually the ones in power. You're the one who's the victim. You're the victim, Adolf Hitler. This is what Netanyahu's trying to sell us. He's trying to sell us on this lie. Now, nobody believed that lie. Well, maybe people did for a while. I don't know. And then finally, now history is written the way that it is, that all these heroes rushed in to save the Jews during World War II. We all know that didn't really happen either. Many of them just said, well, I don't know, somebody will take the Jews. Somebody if you don't want them, why doesn't anybody else take them? It's the same rhetoric we're hearing. And that went on for years before there was finally militaries that marched in to try to save the day. Or at least the American military, I should clarify, because there were other militaries that were fighting the Nazis the whole time. It's just that the U.S. swooped in at the last minute and now says, oh, look, we're heroes. We knew all along we had to go save the Jews. And that's not even what happened. But this is the lie that Netanyahu's trying to sell us, is that we're the victims. Because we found some Mein Kampf. We found Hitler, pictures of Hitler amongst the Palestinians that we maybe planted. But, to sell a narrative to you that these people are genocidal maniacs, who's really watching? All right, I want to play this one for you. This is Lindsey Graham telling Israel to go ahead and just drop the nukes on Gaza. No big deal.
Historians would say, why is it okay for Reagan to do it and not President Biden? But let me ask you about
why is it okay?
Deal.
Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Senator, again, military officials say
whatever
the technology has changed.
Whoa.
But let me ask you about how all
these
of this
military
could
officials that you're talking about
let me ask you
are
something.
full of crap.
Let me ask you something that
Where did this guy come from? Listen to him again. Listen to him again on this.
It was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Senator, again, military officials say
whatever
the technology
you have to do.
Whatever you have to do, drop those nukes, Israel. Drop those nukes on Gaza. Don't worry about the nuclear fallout that'll happen on the Israeli people. I mean, never mind the fact that if you nuke Gaza, you're pretty much nuking yourself. Just do what you have to do. If it were up to Lindsey Graham, nobody ever, I hope this man never runs for president. I don't want him to have the codes to the nukes. He's made it clear he cannot be trusted with them. Please, let's never make that happen. Let's never make that a reality, or anybody like him, like Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is also one who talks very similarly. But just nutty stuff. I mean, this is one of our American leaders talking in a very genocidal way. But you don't worry, the Israelis are not the don't you realize we're the good guys? There's no genocide going on. We're the good guys. We're the heroes. Don't believe even the own words coming out of my mouth. I mean, that's what Lindsey Graham has been trying to sell us this whole time. Now he's saying drop bombs on the Palestinians. Well, they're already. I mean, yeah, well, why not? I guess a nuke is the next thing to do. You've already been dropping dumb bombs on children, burying them alive. So, why not? Why not a nuke? Why not? Never mind the nuclear fallout. Just never mind. By the way, there was some numbers that came out. People have been disputing this online, that the UN had redone the numbers of deaths in Gaza. There's a lot of people like Joe Scarborough on MSNBC and others who are spreading this lie that the UN had halved the numbers of deaths that have actually happened in Palestine, in Gaza. That is not true. They give us two different numbers. The Israelis do the exact same thing. There's two different numbers. The reported deaths and then the identified deaths, the people they've been able to find and identify, is very different than, so they're trying to say that because they've given us two different numbers, the reported deaths and the identified deaths, that really the deaths are just the identified deaths and the number is now half of what it actually is. And oh no, look, it's the UN inflating their numbers again. One person said, oh, it reminds me of COVID. They inflated the death numbers. No, this is different. A lot of those people are buried under the rubble. They can't identify them. In order to identify a death, you have to positively identify through a variety of mechanisms that person is that person. That is not just done through a report. That is actually physically, forensically done. They've been able to forensically identify half of the victims. The other half are buried under the rubble. You can't get to them. You can't get to them. So, of course, you can't identify them. But by the way, Israel does the same thing. When they say there's 1,200 people that have been reported killed on October 7th, the actual identified number is something like 1,100. There's about 100 they haven't been able to identify forensically just yet for a variety of different reasons. They have the bodies. They can't identify them. That's how that works. But there's this lie circulating on social media. I wanted to kind of bring that up. I also want to show you this clip. This is an Israeli IDF soldier who I guess he's going to Columbia, or no, he's going to MIT, or he's in New York anyway. He shouts, I feel unsafe, I feel unsafe. This is the type of stuff that we've been seeing on the college campuses, this idea of the Jews aren't feeling safe. And so these protesters are anti-Semitic, they're really the pro-genociders, wanting to genocide Jews. And we're the victims again. Watch this guy. He says he feels unsafe. Watch this.
Can you come and help me, please? Recep, I feel unsafe. Can you come and help me? Could you please come and help me, Recep? I feel unsafe and I'm afraid.
Oh my gosh. Look, they're just laughing at him. He's like, I feel unsafe. He's standing there. He's clearly just wanting to get a report made of him. He did end up getting some press from this saying, I feel unsafe. I was like, look at that. Was there anything unsafe happening to him? He's standing on a chair by himself. The protesters are laughing. And he's like, I'm feeling unsafe. Then he gets a spot on Fox News. This is just a little part of his little Fox News expose that he got to do.
They may claim that it's not anti-Semitic, just anti-Zionist. I don't see the difference. Not every Jewish person is a Zionist, but the majority of Jewish people are Zionist. It's ridiculous that MIT still allowed these kids, these kids that just break the rules, and MIT just allowed them to do that. Not only that MIT allowed them to do that, MIT provide them with electricity. MIT provides them with infrastructure. It's ridiculous, and it's just, I'm just disappointed.
Spoken like a true genocidal IDF naval officer, right? I mean, here's this guy saying, I cannot believe that they would be provided electricity and infrastructure. So now we know that is the mentality. That is the mentality when they cut off the Gazans. Prior to October 7th, they only got about 4 hours of electricity a day. When I was in the West Bank 5 years ago, I saw the water tanks on top of the buildings. They only allow running water into the West Bank 3 days a week. 3 days a week is all they allow. And yet this guy, he's Now we know why. The mentality, even his mentality right there on the college campuses, how dare they give them electricity and infrastructure? We should cut off the electricity. We should cut off the infrastructure. Cut them off from water. Cut them off from food. Cut these people off. Kill them. For my safety, you must, because I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe. As he says, I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe.
Can you come and help me, please?
Help me, help me. Nobody's around me.
Can you come and help me?
I mean, this guy, right, he couldn't even characterize what has gone on between the Israelis and the Palestinians any better. I mean, he just couldn't have. He just really showcased us on a small scale exactly the conflict. Here's a guy saying, I feel unsafe. One person looked at me wrong, or one person threw, if there was something that happened, it's not the mass. It's just a tiny little thing. Nothing happened to this guy, but let's just say something tiny did. It would still be small, and he's sitting there screaming and crying, saying, I feel unsafe. Meanwhile, he's saying, cut these people off. Cut off their infrastructure. How dare we give them any of that? All right, before we get to our guest, I want to leave you with this last video. This is the Shah of Iran saying the Zionist lobby has control over the United States. This is a video that was done 1976. This was an interview with Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes with Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. And he's asking him in the interview a lot of things, but the Shah starts spitting some truth. And this was circulating online. I wanted to share it with you. And then, so you watch for yourself what he had to say, spitting some truth that today I surely would be banned. Here it is.
Surely, Your Majesty, you're not telling me that the Jewish lobby in the United States pulls the strings of the presidency?
Not entirely, but I think even a little too much, even for Israel interests.
You think the Jewish lobby in the United States is too powerful for the interests of Israel?
I think so. Sometimes they are disserving the interests of Israel because they're pushing around too many people.
How do you mean pushing around?
Well, pressuring. They have many means at their disposal. They are putting up pressure on many, many people. And at the end, I don't think that it will even help Israel.
Why, if this is true, why would the President of the United States pay attention to that lobby?
They are strong.
Strong in what sense?
They are controlling many things.
Controlling what?
Newspapers, medias,
Your Majesty.
banks, finances, and I'm going to stop there.
Well, now wait just a second. You really do believe that the Jewish community in the United States is that powerful? They make the media reflect their view of foreign policy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They do not report, we do not report honestly?
Don't mix things, please. I don't say the media. I say in the media they have people. Not the entire media. Some newspapers will only reflect their views, yes.
No? The New York Times, for instance, is owned by the Sulzberger family, who are Jewish. Are you suggesting that the New York Times is biased in its treatment of the question of Zionism, Israel's existence, the United States' relationship with the Arab world?
I will have to put all the articles of the New York Times written on this subject and draw the conclusion. You can put this to the computer and it will answer you.
What you're saying is that, yes, you do believe.
Well, let's wait for the answer of the computer.
Washington Post?
The same.
The networks?
Less.
I must say you are speaking with your characteristic candor.
Guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show, which you could catch just by heading to that link down below, KimIversonShow.com. You can watch the full show from what you just watched, or you could catch the full show live Monday through Friday, live streams, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you then. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Never miss an episode. Never miss a clip. Never miss a segment. Thanks, guys.